The world of Haradon is one of the most expanded worlds found within mobile games, filled with different creatures, races, and gods. In this video, I wanted to focus on the different gods found within the game, as well as the ones that are mentioned. I'm gonna do it in the order from most to least recognizable, and finish off with some gods that are just speculation, and as far as I know, not confirmed. Starting out with the most obvious pick, we have Khalin, the god at the center of the storyline. Khalin is the god of order. He created Haradon and the universe it is set in. He's the most prominent god, with his hammer being at the center of the game's questline. I would say Khalin is a bit morally grey, since he did create the universe, but also unleashed demons upon Haradon. He's the main focal point of the Fire Abbey and their religious beliefs. The second god is Kolki. Kolki is basically the brother of Khalin, but also Khalin's opposite. Whereas Khalin is the god of order, Kolki is the god of chaos. Not necessarily evil, I would say, but Kolki feels like a god that sees the mortal realm as a way for him to get his own amusement, not valuing the life of mortals, but not necessarily doing any acts out of pure malice or hatred. The third major god in the Order and Chaos universe is Shone. Shone is the god of death. We don't get to know much about Shone other than his role as the god of death, but we do get to know a few things about him by the acts of his followers, their relationship to him, which seems to be based on respect, which makes me think that Shone might be the kindest god out of all the three known gods. I think Shone guides people to the afterlife after they've been slain, rather than actually slaying them, with death just being another natural part of life. From here on, the gods drop significantly in power and potentially status as well. I'll try ranking these lower tier gods based on their influence, since they can be found within the world of Haradon, instead of being ethereal beings. The first god of this type I would say is the One. The One is the god that controls the race of the Aristarchs, and has done so for many generations, though mostly unknowingly. The Aristarchs act as mirrors, projections of him. The One is most likely a kind god deep down, since after he has been confronted by the player, he lets go of his control over the Aristar race. In terms of power, we can assume that he is very powerful, being able to control the entire Aristar race, and outside of that, he is also able to control other living beings as well, such as the fish people. And that is if we ignore his strength as a being. His realm is also called the Observatory of all realms, which makes it seem that his influence may be even more widespread than players get to experience. The next god I'd like to name here is the god of the swamp. The god of the swamp is probably one of the least memorable gods, being only a small part of the main questline for the Swamp of Worms. That doesn't mean that it should be underestimated. As we get to learn, the god of the swamp is actually the only thing keeping demons out of the Swamp of Worms. This is an insane feat if you think about it, since the demons are let into the world by the shattering of Khalin's hammer upon the mortal plane. And being able to resist that, even if only by a little, it shows the power of the Guardian of the Swamp. And aside from this, the Guardian of the Swamp can never be fully killed, but instead reincarnates every time it is slain in battle. The third and most likely final confirmed god I'd like to mention in this bracket is Anataavian. Anataavian is a tricky one, since he is never officially confirmed as a god, but rather, he is believed to be one. But god or not, he is still an incredibly powerful being within Haradon. While we've heard of his feats of power, we've never really seen any. But there are a few things that point to his might. The first and obvious one is his ability to communicate with other beings without being awake to do it. This, coupled with his ability to sense the presence of other beings within the Great Desert, and the fact that he's lived an extremely long life, really makes him stand out as one of the most powerful beings within Haradon. After this, the known gods I think are basically all explored, and we come to the gods that are just down to speculation. The first god I'd like to point out is the Saithion God. The Saithion God is not mentioned by name, only by speech, but we do see it pop up wherever in Haradon there is a Saithion settlement, meaning that it is a god to all of the Saithion and not just some of the tribes. The god looks almost human in appearance, which makes me wonder if it could in some way have created the Saithions or assisted it in some way. The next potential god could be Zepar. Zepar is a confirmed god within the Order and Chaos franchise, being part of the storyline for Order and Chaos Duels. But as far as I know, he's never mentioned in Order and Chaos Online, which is my basis for this video. I would however say that he is very powerful, though definitely not on the same power level as Colin. He is stated to be a god of corruption and could definitely be seen as a truly evil god wanting to bring doom to the mortal realm. Unfortunately, we just don't know much about this guy. Next up, we have a potential god that is very similar to Zepar, if he is indeed a god. Within the Underrealm and the Eternal Frostland, we often see mention of something called Acheron, with many hostile beings being branded as victims of Acheron, which makes me think that Acheron is some kind of evil being at almost a godlike level, and seems to in some way be part of the demon invasion of Haradon, maybe even the creator of the demons themselves. As the Acheron's reach in the Eternal Frostland is sprawling with demons as well as demonic portals, it does make it seem very likely. Which makes me suspect that Acheron is some kind of evil god. Maybe Zepar before Zepar was decided to be a god. Maybe just another evil god independent of him. We most likely don't know, but we do know that he is powerful if he is a being. The last potential god I'm going to call out here is Akhan. Now we know nothing about Akhan from what I know. We don't even know if he is a person, a god, or a tribe of ancient people. But we do hear people in the Great Desert mention that they are descendants of Akhan. This could mean two things. That they are descendants of Akhan in the same way that the humans of the Arcadian forest are descendants of the original Arcadian people. Or that they are descendants of a god named Akhan who made them in his image, like potentially the Saithion God. We will probably never know. There's probably tons of more gods out there, maybe ones that were never made, or maybe ones that I've missed. The Daesaurus speak of 13 ancient gods that created the world, so maybe there is a whole heap that haven't been explored yet, or maybe ones that just haven't been mentioned by name. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment section below, as well as posting if I got something wrong. I'll see you all in my next video.